I always have to smile because he did exactly what Jesus told him not to do. From that first reading from the letter to the Hebrews, we hear a reminder, a piece from the Old Testament actually. If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. Why? The end of the reading from Hebrews. Because we've become partners with Christ. Our reality lies in him. Harden not your hearts. Listen to him. We have become partners with him. Like many of us this past weekend, after we celebrated the Feast of the Baptism of the Lord, which liturgically is the end of the Christmas season, Sunday afternoon I had a whole lot to do. It was time to take down the Christmas tree. I left the lights in the windows one more night. But primarily for me, I took down my nativity set that I have in the dining room of the house that I live in. And as I was taking down the nativity set, putting it away, I had to smile, and I remembered something that happened to me when I put up the nativity set a few weeks ago. I have a whole lot of pieces. I love nativity sets. I have them everywhere. And this particular one, people have gifted me. I've bought a lot myself. I have a lot of pieces, a lot of people at this nativity scene. And I remember when I first put it together this year, I had the pieces spread out all over the sideboard. So it looked like, the world's biggest nativity set. But it didn't look good. Something was a little off. I did a little rearranging. It looked okay, but there was something not right. So I went in a third time to do some rearranging. And it was then that I remembered something that I had discovered just a couple of years ago. If you want your nativity set to look natural, if you want it to be attractive to the eye, yeah, it's got to be symmetrical, same amount of people on each side, but you need to put the people together in groups. I had them all separated. When I made small little groups of people, 2 or 3 here, 4 or 5 there, it looked almost perfect. We're meant to be together. We're meant to bring about peace of mind, harmony for one another. Why? Hebrews tells us. Because of our baptism, we've become partners of Christ. And it was his mission to speak to everyone. This past week, you and I have been hearing of his adventures early in his career from the Gospel of Mark. We have seen Jesus run hither and yon, reaching out to everyone, not just the people in his own neighborhood, not just the people in his own synagogue. Yesterday's gospel, we saw him running out of town. Let's go, he says to the apostles. I know they're looking for me, but I've got to go do this somewhere else. Today, he does it somewhere else. We don't know where the leper came from. If he was indeed in a different town, he could be of a different faith, different ethnic background, but he heard of Jesus. He heard about Jesus. He listened to what was being said by this great man of prayer that brought about the presence of God. And he said, it's you. I know that if you wish, you can make me clean. I know that if you will it, I'll be okay. And Jesus says, I do will it. Be clean. And he was clean. And he was so excited, he went off and told everyone, even though Jesus said, keep it to yourself and just show the priest. The leper listened to Jesus. He heard Jesus. His heart was moved by the presence of Jesus. My friends, I've got to go back to that very first quote from Hebrews, taken from the Old Testament. We've heard it a million times. If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. In the original language, the word harden is a very interesting word. To our 21st century ears, we know that a hard-hearted person is someone who's mean. But the meaning goes far beyond that when we go back to its original definition. A hard heart is one that can be mean. It's one that doesn't listen. It's one that can't be moved because it's confused. It doesn't pay attention. That word is used in the gospel and other places to describe the apostles who don't understand. He told them not to tell everyone at the end of the Transfiguration, you'll remember, but they didn't understand what he was saying. On the road to Emmaus, their eyes were kept shut, and they didn't recognize him. That's the hardening of heart that can come about through confusion, fear, not paying attention to what he might be calling us to do. The readings this day remind us, my friends, that when we come together to pray, we need to give ourselves over to him. We truly need to listen to these words. He continues to speak to us through them. And he speaks to us so that we can be partners with him. You know, we live in a funny world, and these days there's so much disunity and disharmony. You and I are the ones who are called to use his grace to get beyond that, to continue to listen to everyone, to bring about what Jesus brought about all the time. There's a common thread in all these stories. Jesus brings about peace of mind. He brings peace to people's lives. That leper was so much more peaceful when he went to sleep that night because he was made whole. My friends, you and I are called to listen to Jesus. We are called to keep our eye on Jesus. We are called to allow his grace through word and sacrament to move our hearts, to work every day with him by our side, making sure that our hearts are never hard, confused, mystified, broken, or alone. Because he is always there with us, listening, helping, and healing. And because we have been made partners in him, we are called to do the same.